Speaking of bigger, check out this tire. It's bigger than I am, and there'll be 70 machines just like this one. Dozers, excavators, you name it, they got it. And kids not only can see them, they can climb them. If you take a walk with me over here, you'll see this trailer has been completely flipped on its side. What has today just been like for you, just picking up the pieces?
Numb. Caring about the other tenant.
Good evening. Breaking tonight, shots fired at Illinois State University in Normal. Now, 64% of Americans say Trump is not focused enough on lowering prices. Comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb, but that's not very lamb-like. Turns out the Bloomington-based insurance company stopped accepting new fire insurance applications in California back in May of 2023. That's almost 2 years ago. Doing something fun while doing great work. It's a win-win situation. And I understand you shattered your record again.
Yes.
How do you guys do that? On Consumer Alert, bird flu is making eggs not only expensive, but also harder to find. Maria, you've been going to the camp for a few years now. What's your favorite part about it? Planning to go on a vacation the next few days. There's a good chance you're already there. In your mind at least, right?
It just really made me realize how broken our healthcare system is, because I know he's not the only one that this happens to.
Samantha Everett says her father, Gregory Coffrin, went to the hospital for heart surgery, but left with something else. She says he contracted a dangerous drug-resistant fungus, and now no nursing home will take him.
Nobody told me, he even got it there. Nobody explained what it was. Like, I found out from it when I showed back up to visit him, and all of a sudden he was in an isolation room.
Now here's what Samantha said happened. In November of 2024, her father Gregory was admitted here at OSF St. Francis Medical Center in Peoria for severe heart infection. After months of bouncing in between hospitals, he was then transferred to Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis. That's where he underwent complex open heart surgery and then was placed under a ventilator.
And I was not for sure if he was going to make it out of it or not.
Samantha, a nurse herself, says that's where he caught a drug-resistant fungus, Candida auris, or C. auris, and she's got the tests to prove it. So your father was tested twice for this fungus, came out negative, but this third time came up positive.
That's correct. Yep.
C. auris primarily spreads in hospitals. It can be deadly for people with weakened immune systems.
Because it's particularly sticky, it does stay in that environment, and it affects people who have higher risk.
And Samantha says that new diagnosis changed everything. When Gregory was discharged in March, she says Barnes's nurses told her 70 nursing homes turned him away.
I'm trying to figure out why, what's going on. The only thing that I could figure out would be this infection that he picked up, this fungus that he got while in Barnes.
Hillary Spencer with the Illinois Department of Public Health says C. auris alone should not prevent Gregory from finding a nursing home.
It really shouldn't be a limitation. A facility needs to be able to implement the appropriate precautions.
I reached out to Barnes, left messages for multiple departments, but never heard back. When Samantha picked her father up from Barnes, he was disoriented and confused.
So I took him right back to OSF in Peoria. So we went back there, and he was admitted that same day. Quickly, they deemed that he was not able to make decisions, should not have been even allowed to choose to leave.
Samantha says OSF also tried to find a nursing home for her dad. She even made calls herself, but still, nothing.
He has the C. auris, and they basically were like, he can't be in a room with somebody else. So he needs a private room, and Medicaid's not going to pay for that.
I reached out to the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services, which oversees Medicaid. In a statement, they told me Medicaid does cover single occupancy rooms. Reimbursements to nursing homes depend on the resident's needs, not the type of room needed. I mean, how does this whole experience make you feel?
It makes me have very little confidence in our healthcare system. I mean, and it also really just sheds a light on those who don't have people to advocate for them.
Republicans are looking to cut $880 billion from the budget to help pay for a $4.5 trillion tax cut. Governor J.B. Pritzker says the only way they can do that is by gutting Medicaid.
The consequences for people will be devastating. People will be stripped of, their only access to potentially life-saving treatment. And I will say this for myself, I believe that blood will be on their hands. People will lose their lives as a result of what they're trying to do.
Home care worker Jessica Bulmer is fighting cancer and chemotherapy is not cheap. She says Medicaid is the only reason she has a roof over her head.
Medicaid is not just something that the government hands to people that are lazy and don't want to get jobs. I went through all the steps. I went to college, I worked a job, I worked 2 jobs, and still ended up sleeping in my car.
You probably know someone receiving Medicaid benefits too. Pritzker says 1 in 4 Illinoisans depend on Medicaid to the tune of $8 billion a year.
These are working parents, and they're seniors, they're people with disabilities, they're our friends, they're our neighbors, people that we care about.
He's encouraging you to advocate for you and your loved ones' rights now before it's too late.
We can't wait for that damage to set in. We have to do something right now. Now is the time to stand up for Medicaid, for our working families, for each other.
Congressman Darren LaHood was invited to the roundtable in Peoria, but did not show up. I have reached out to his office for comment. He has previously said that Republicans won't touch Medicaid. In Peoria, Shabnam Danesh, WMBD News. The pork industry is bracing for the January 1st implementation of a California animal welfare law. Proposition 12 requires sows to have at least 24 square feet of space, with the ability to move and turn around. Compare that to an average pen many pregnant sows find themselves in, gestation stalls that are 2 feet wide and 7 feet long. But what does this mean for the more than 2,100 pig farmers in Illinois?
Right now, I'd say the hardest part of my job is not knowing what the future holds for my family business.
Cheryl Walsh is a 4th-generation pig farmer in Bradford. With an expected reduced capacity of 30% and expensive infrastructure upgrade costs, Walsh says complying with Proposition 12 could put her out of business.
I would have to rip out all of the feed lines. I'd have to rip out all of the gestation stalls, all the water troughs. It's very expensive. It would cost me millions of dollars to make this one barn right here Prop 12 compliant.
It's their choice. No one is forcing them to do anything.
That's Wayne Pacell, the president of Animal Wellness Action. He's worked for the past 20 years to pass Proposition 12 in California, and he says gestation crates are inhumane and cruel.
The crates are so narrow that it's like you or I being in a coffin or in a refrigerator for potentially 4 months. Immobilization should not be a customary animal husbandry practice. These are feeling, thinking animals. They have behavioral needs just like a dog or a cat. If you immobilize them indefinitely, it causes psychological and physical problems.
But Walsh disagrees and says farmers already know what's best for their animals.
The pigs, they don't want that extra space. They really don't. You can see in this barn how clean the animals are. They have no marks on them from fighting. They're actually very content animals with just the up and down. They don't utilize all the space either when they have more space.
Pacell says pork producers are not obligated to sell to California, which comprises 25% of the U.S. market.
So that means that no Illinois producer, if he or she doesn't wish to sell into those markets, needs to modify anything